In this video, we answer the question, how do you file for unemployment insurance benefits? Here's what we'll learn. First, that there are eligibility requirements you have to meet. Second, you'll receive a computer printout called a monetary determination. It tells you the amount of benefits you'll receive and how many weeks you'll receive them. Third, you'll learn that to continue to receive benefits, you have to file certification every week. And fourth, you'll find out what options you have if you've been denied benefits. So let's get the process started. And we do that at one of the many Tennessee career centers.
In a moment, we'll be looking in on an interview with a new claimant, and we'll learn from the interviewer what the process involves, step by step, from filing a weekly claim to appealing a denial for benefits to applying for federal assistance to helping you get a job. Now, most of what you need to know is found in this policy booklet. It describes your rights and responsibilities as a claimant, and it's given to you when you file a claim. But first, let's consider where the unemployment benefits come from. They were never deducted from your paycheck. In fact, they come from taxes paid by employers. The question is, are you eligible to receive them? Let's watch.
Now, to receive unemployment insurance, you have to have lost your job through no fault of your own. You have to continue to look for work, and you have to be willing and able to work if a job is offered to you.
What kind of work?
Well, obviously, you want to look for a job for which you have the right skills. And it should pay along the same lines of what you were making. Now, we may ask that you register with the Career Center, and in that way, we can help you look for that kind of work as well.
Okay, so let's say you're eligible. How much will you receive each week? Again, your interviewer will tell you how your weekly benefit amount is determined.
The weekly benefit is the amount of money that you'll receive while you're unemployed. Now, it is based on the wages that you earned during the first 4 of the last 5 calendar quarters.
No, I don't think I understand that.
Understanding what they call the base period can be difficult.
And that's why we go over carefully with everyone who's applying for unemployment benefits. But if you look at this calendar, you see the time period or base period that we're talking about.
Let's stop for a moment to study this graphic. It shows a claimant's base period. 4 of the last 5 completed calendar quarters are shown in yellow. So in his case, he filed his claim in November. Obviously, we don't count that quarter because it's not completed. So we look back at the next one, which is July, August, September. That's our starting point, and we simply count back 4 quarters from there. That's what we call a claimant's base period. Next, you will get a monetary determination. It comes in the form of a computer printout. It shows what you earned during that base period and the amount of benefits you may receive based on your wages in that base period. And finally, it shows how many weeks you may get benefits.
Now, be sure to study the printout carefully. Point out any mistakes that you see. And if there's something that you don't understand, just feel free to ask questions. You can also file a formal protest if you think there are any errors in your wage information. Have you worked in another state or for the federal government in the last 18 months?
No.
Good. Then
That's important information to know, because if you've worked out of state or for the federal government in the last year and a half, those wages won't show up on your printout. And that means you could lose out on some of your benefits. So be sure to let your interviewer know so that he or she can add those wages to your printout.
As you've probably already guessed, not everyone who applies for unemployment insurance is eligible for benefits. For instance, you could be denied benefits if you quit your job without a good work-related reason, or because you didn't accept a suitable job offer. Now, if you're denied benefits, you do have the right to appeal the decision. Let's go back to the Career Center to learn more about the appeals process.
let's say that you lose your job because of lack of work.
What do you mean by lack of work?
Say business drops off and your employer can't afford to keep you on, so he lays you off. You lost your job through no fault of your own, and you're likely eligible for benefits.
Okay, suppose, however, I lose my job for some other reason.
Well, we'll review your case and we'll explain to you in writing whether you're eligible or whether you're ineligible.
So what if I'm denied benefits?
If your benefits are denied, you've got 15 days from the mailing date on the decision to appeal. You've got to contact your local office, or you can write the appeals tribunal and tell them that you want to appeal.
Well, as long as I have the right to appeal, that's good for me.
And that's if you've been denied. But by the same token, if your benefits are approved, then the right to appeal goes to your employer and they can appeal the decision as well.
So I could end up losing my benefits after all.
It's up to the appeals officer.
And basically, here's what happens in an appeal situation. First, you'll be notified of the date, time, and place for an appeals officer to hear the facts from both sides. You can represent yourself at this hearing, or you can select someone else to represent you, such as a lawyer. Free or low-cost legal services may be available to you from your local legal service or bar association. You should bring any documents or witnesses to help you represent your side during the hearing. The appeals officer will make his or her decision as to your eligibility.
So that's the appeals process. Now, let's go back to where we left off discussing the computer printout, the monetary determination as we call it. Remember? It shows what you earned during your base period, those first 4 of the last 5 completed calendar quarters. It also shows the amount of benefits you'll receive based on the wages in that base period. And finally, it shows how many weeks you might continue to get an unemployment check. So, now let's take a look at how you go about receiving your benefits each week. We call it filing a weekly certification.
Filing a weekly certification is actually a process that's done by touch-tone telephone through an interactive voice response system called TIPS. It's simple and easy to use, takes about 3 minutes to complete, and it's available 18 hours a day. And here's how the system works. Each claimant has a personal identification number or PIN, which gives him access to his account and keeps unauthorized people out. As with any personal identification number, you must protect it at all times, and it must not be given to anyone.
Just use your PIN every time you call to file your weekly certification or whenever you want to know the status of your claim. Just pick 4 numbers and then punch them in whenever you make your first call.
Each claimant is also given an assigned day to call and make your weekly certification. If you miss it, you can call Wednesday through Friday and make your weekly certification then. Basically, weekly certification involves answering a series of questions regarding your eligibility during the week for which you're claiming. So you call and you answer questions about the previous week. Did you work? What did you make?
When you call, you're guided through the process and you answer questions by pressing 1 for yes and 9 for no. If you don't understand the question, then you can press 0 and have it repeated. For example, the first question asks, did you perform the work during the week for which you were paid or will be paid? If you press 1 to answer yes, then you'll be asked to report the wages that you earned during the week. You enter the dollar amount first, followed by the star key, and then you enter the amount of cents, followed by the star key. It's important that you report the wages during the week that you actually did the work, regardless of when you're paid.
So even if I'm not paid until later?
You have to report the earnings before deductions the week that you did the work and earned, not necessarily when you received your paycheck. And when you report those wages, the computer will make whatever adjustments are necessary to your benefits check. So, if you earn equal to or more than your weekly benefits, then you don't get a check for that week.
But what if I earn less?
Then the computer just deducts that amount that's allowable by law and figures out the adjusted amount you'll be paid in unemployment benefits for that week.
Okay. Is that it?
Only 6 more questions to go.
Those 6 other questions are about your eligibility. Now, if you mistakenly gave a wrong answer, the answer will be repeated and you will have the opportunity to correct it. But a warning here, reporting false information will get you into trouble.
Okay, so what happens then if I'm disqualified?
Well, if any of your answers put your benefits in question, you'll be advised to contact your local office to resolve that situation.
And that's it. Weekly certification by touch-tone telephone.
Now, if you don't have reasonable access to a touch-tone telephone or aren't physically able to use one, there's an alternative method, which you'll learn about when you file a claim. There's also an online process if you prefer. Now you know how to file weekly certification. You know you'll be asked whether you worked, how much you earned, and other questions about your eligibility. Also, from time to time, you'll get a special set of questions, and the purpose of these questions is to determine if you're still eligible for weekly benefits. Again, when answering the questions, you use yes or no answers. And as always, you must answer the questions truthfully. Okay, a couple of things about your checks. First, if for any reason you receive benefits you're not entitled to, or you'll be required to repay the overpayment. And listen, there are some pretty severe penalties for failing to report wages or for willfully giving false information when claiming benefits. The other thing is, what happens if you don't get your check? If you don't receive your check within 10 days from the time of your last certification, contact your local office right away. So, let's check back in with our interviewer for anything else we should know.
Actually, I think we've covered the basics pretty well, except that you were asking about taxes.
Right, I was just wondering what the best way to do that was.
Right, well, you have the option of having a deduction of 10% from your weekly benefits check for income tax.
I assume you'll send me a form in the mail.
Exactly, and that's why it's very important that you keep your address current with us until you get your tax statement, even if you're no longer receiving benefits.
Okay.
If you need to change your address or your income tax deduction, you must make that request in writing with your signature. And there's a special card for that to make it convenient for you. Now remember, if your claim is approved, the first week is used as a waiting week. You must certify that week, but you won't receive a check for it. And also remember, if you have an appeal pending, you must continue to certify each week. Again, all of this is in your policy booklet.
We try to be as helpful as we can and to encourage our claimants to take advantage of any programs or services for which they qualify.
For example, there are federal programs that might help you get a job. A program called the Workforce Investment Act offers retraining and other reemployment services. There are also benefits and services that may be available to workers whose jobs are affected by foreign trade. For example, the Trade Adjustment Assistance Program. Workers who believe they qualify may file a petition to the U.S. Department of Labor to receive group certification for program participation.
I'd say if you're interested in any one or more of these kinds of programs, we can provide you with the information about them.
We've taken you through the basics of filing for unemployment insurance benefits, and this is what we've learned. There are eligibility requirements you have to meet. There's a monetary determination, which tells you the amount of benefits you'll receive and how many weeks you'll receive them. To continue to receive benefits, you have to file certification every week. And there's also a process for an appeal if you've been denied benefits. And perhaps most important, there's the Tennessee Department of Labor and Workforce Development. Check out our website for more information.